Good afternoon. We are here with Michael about his new book, Supercharger Building Networks. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing super well. Thank you for organizing this. I'm excited for the conversation.
Michael, tell us a little bit, before we get into the book, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you've been in Silicon Valley. I know that you're currently in Germany. You claim to be French and German, so you have a lot going on. And I think you said, read somewhere that you visited 23 countries or 32, something like that.
Yeah, actually it's 35 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of your background so we have a sense of who you are, and then we'll talk about the book.
Sure. As you just mentioned, I am French German. I grew up in France, and I really grew up in an environment where I was focusing on adventures and being in different environments, taking my bikes rather than being very disciplined at school. So I was really bad at it. And then I grew up and I decided to actually work at school. And I finally studied a degree of chemistry between France and Germany. I was in research, and I was then in Switzerland, then in Mexico for chemistry. I also took a few breaks to travel the world. I met a ton of people, and that pushed me to actually, improve my communication skills, all my travels, traveling for 5 months in Africa, I was in Asia, I was in Mexico and South America. And then it came to a turning point of my life where I loved science. I loved, to improve current technologies for the better and turn products into better products and also safer products that really increase, the quality of our life. But something was missing in science, and was the speed, how to go faster. It was really slow, and the mindset of people that are really trying to do it on their own, and the necessity to publish and get recognized. You have really, I would say, less scientists that are getting recognized for their work, and I was really missing that energy. And then I decided to really try entrepreneurship, and I really grew up in an academic environment. Was university settings, and there was no tech transfer really where I studied in Germany. And then I found my way to go to Silicon Valley, and there I went to a digital health accelerator. I worked for a biotech incubator, and I went to over 100 events in just 1 year. It was just before COVID. And you can imagine, I met a ton of entrepreneurs, a ton of VCs, a ton of people that are really changing the world. And the density that you find in the Bay Area, and everybody knows that who worked in the Bay Area, is just like crazy, right? It's not just a few entrepreneurs every week. You have like thousands, like every day in the city, and that are trying to raise funds. That are traveling to the Bay Area. That you have over 10 meetups a day where you can join and learn and connect. And I really loved that energy. And when I came back to Europe because of COVID and because it was difficult for me to get the visa, I really realized a huge difference. And so now I just joined a Japanese company that is called NGK SPARK PLUG, and I'm working for the ventures and work with startups to accelerate our innovation initiative.
So unfortunately, that last part just cut out. So you joined the new company. Can you say that again?
Yes, I just freshly joined the NGK SPARK PLUG. It is a Japanese company that is trying to reinvent themselves, and they just opened an innovation division, and I worked for their venture lab where we build ventures and we establish partnership with startups. And really all my experiences, all in different environments, Africa, Asia, Mexico, USA, I really realized that it was something special that Silicon Valley was doing. And it was working in networks, and that's a little bit how we connected and with the book, and that's what I'm talking about in the book.
Yeah, I mean, what's been interesting is our paths have crossed in a few different ways, not directly where we've not met, but I've actually done a fair amount of work for G4A. So I'm familiar with them. We do work in the digital health space. We did it with the Berlin office, actually, and then continue to do work with them and support them. And then as far as ecosystem building, I've done a fair amount of work with Impact, which is Berlin-based. And they are building these ecosystems that you're referring to in Africa. because again, they too lack these networks and ecosystems. And it's, you know, what's interesting is to look at, you know, the fact that if you don't have all the pieces of the ecosystem, such as Silicon Valley, that innovation and entrepreneurship just doesn't work, right? And that's sort of what makes Silicon Valley so magical is you have the universities that are churning out talent. There's a money base which supports them, and supports the innovations. So again, this is about having that ecosystem in place. When did you decide to write the book?
Yes, it's an interesting question. You know, I wanted to write a book for let's say 4 years, and because I knew that, you know, it brings your personality and your thought leadership on another level. And I wanted to not just work for money, get a salary, but I wanted to really, you know, be interested in a topic and sharing what I think about the topic. And now with the experience in the Silicon Valley and everything, I realized, okay, I am now passionate about a specific, let's say, industry. And this industry is now open innovation, you know, innovation, and also this really new change that is happening in our society right now, which is working together, right? And I first initially wanted to write a book about what is the difference between innovating today and bringing new, you know, products, services to market versus 100 years ago with this massive shift with experience. We crossed, you know, the industrialization, and we went into now a digital world, and there's all this design thinking stuff that is taking off and everything. But then I talked to a friend of mine, and I wanted to write a book, and I didn't know how. And so I joined a program, and I talked to the professor of the program. He's a professor of Georgetown University. His name is Eric Koster. And I found out about his amazing program, and he's trained, like, I mean, he's helped over 1,000 authors to publish their book, and he has a school now, and he has editor working. There's a lot of people involved in this, and he's working jointly with a hybrid publisher. But I talked to him, and I said all the topics that I was passionate about and I wanted to talk about. And then he shaped a little bit the message of my book. And just by listening to me during 25 minutes, he said, Michael, you want to talk about a ton of things. You know, you write 10 books, but what you really want to say right now, and what you want to work on right now, you want to talk about change and networks. And just by listening to me 25 minutes, and then I said, all right, that sounds kind of really cool. Change, networks, that's kind of what I want to talk about. That's right. And then we worked together, and we built a table of content and what I wanted to talk about. And that was in February. You know, I had to write a few of my chapters before he analyzes it, and then he realized, okay, that's what you want to talk about. And he also said, what is your target audience? You know, you cannot just talk to everybody at first. You have to find your niche. And I realized that my target audience for the message I wanted to share will be all the people that want to create change. You know, all the people that are part of an organization or outside an organization and say, I want to change things. I want to bring a new product. I want to change my team. I want to, improve society or create my own organization. And the people that are also like not knowing which change they want to do, but knowing that they can do it. So it could be like mid-life crisis individuals, and they say, okay, I want to do something now. And the beauty of our world is that what I'm saying in this book is, it is a superpower today. Like, we've never been, able to do what we can do today with the power of what I'm talking networks, but digital, world and the way corporations are working together right now. So today, more than any time before, there is a real, chance for everybody in this world, no matter where you live, to create change. And I'm trying to give the tools to everybody to do this. So that's the book and the topic.
And these people that want to create change, what are the barriers that they're faced with?
We grew up, and I'm talking about this in my introduction and in my first chapters. We grew up in a very, let's say, an environment that were training us to live in the industrialization world, right? It is the world of the 20s, the 30s, and we went, we were in school, and we were learning all the rules and the timetable and the processes. and listening and not talking, not challenging the status quo. We had to do the test. We were not allowed to cheat, and we had to slowly go to the school and go to the next level, and we were judged with the grades, and not on creativity, not on willingness, not on like the grind that some students may have. And that's how we were evaluating people until they were like 22, to say, you're good at what you do, you can have success in life, and all the others cannot. And so a lot of people are just like this in life, they have never been able to really have their own project and say, I'm going to do it no matter what, and I don't have all the grades in the world, but I'm going to do it. So a lot of people really lost hope that they can do it because they were not the best or whatever before, or they have trauma. But I think also what is really a problem is this obsession about following how we've done it before. And like in Europe, for instance, I'm doing a podcast right now, and we are talking to Berlin, we're talking to London, we're talking to Poland, Krakow, and everybody is grown up in a different environment. You have the communism, and these countries, you had a very hierarchical model. And I think the fear is definitely one of the biggest thing why people do not do it. And the fear of judgment, the fear of failure is really big. And the huge difference with Silicon Valley and also Israel is that they have, let's say, grown up in an environment where people were failing and it was okay. And they had successes. So they had people, they had models who could show that if you do it that way, you can make it, right? And I think there is a lot of people who do not have any model in front of them that is showing why this is possible. And so that's why I think a lot of people are not thinking they can be the change.
And in Silicon Valley, not only, is there's this idea of, failing and learning from it, but there's an expectation that if you don't fail, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's sort of one of the Google mantras was like, if you reach your annual goals, then your goals weren't high enough, right? You didn't try. Like, you have to go big or go home.
Yeah.
Right? So what else did you see in Silicon Valley that allowed this innovation to occur and that supported this idea of, fail fast but learn?
Yeah. So there is the fail fast but learn. And when I'm thinking about innovation and change and the power of networks, is that they do it together. So they are not alone, they're not failing alone. And so what I've seen in the Silicon Valley is they can fail because they work in networks. So what does it mean? They know that they always have a backup. So they know that they will be supported by other people. They know that they're going to learn. They know that they're going to use and maybe pivot, go to another idea. And so what I'm talking about, innovation and change, it's really, really about the mindset. It's about having a few principles that allow you to create change. And one of the principles, and we're just talking about is if you build a network around you. When I'm talking about network, a lot of people think, people to get a job. Yes, that's it, but it's not about that. It's if you, let's say, have an idea and you're two and you're about to lack funding and your idea is not doing well, but you know which organization you can reach out and you can ask funding and you can ask support and you know how to add value to them, then you build resilience and your idea can survive. And you have to, believe you can make it. It's really about the mindset and reaching out for help, asking questions and asking for introduction. And I give an example in my book. It wasn't about a company, an organization in the Silicon Valley, but it was an organization of Americans who lived in the Middle East and decided to build an incubator in the Middle East. And they were about to close doors, like they had an issue with Iraq and they couldn't, take money from the US directly. And so the funding was lacking and they had to support the entrepreneurs that they were about to, also like crash. And then they were able to reach out to the US embassy, to an organization in Germany, to an organization in the US, and they collected funds and somehow they made it through. And now, like 5 years later on, they're expanding to other countries. but they had all the elements to fail, all of them, right? And a lot of people would have failed, but because they were able to use the power of these networks and organization all around the world, and they were able to collaborate, that's why they succeeded. And we see that in the Silicon Valley all the time. They don't work alone. They always work interconnected to other teams, to organization, to VCs, to people who are going to help them. And that's really a major difference with other places that I see is, this thing of trying to do it alone. And then, oh, I failed. Yeah, of course you fail, right? Why did you spend maybe all your own money, right? Or why did you only have one stakeholders? You have to have many, and so you have to have different stakeholders for different phase of your project, but you have to have a huge network, and the more network you have, more organization, VCs, colleagues, people you can reach out if you need help. That's how you can create change, and that I really believe in.
When you're building these networks, what are the sort of the core components that you have to have in order for a network to be successful?
Yes. So one of the things that people do, and what I've been inspired from the Silicon Valley, is first you have to think bold. It's nobody is going to join your mission or wants to create a network with you if you just want to do like little things. I truly believe that it starts with boldness. You want to create a drastic change, something that is really going to improve the world. And like this, you will build connections. People are going to be attracted by you, and you will be able to have a network. And I'm taking an examples, of Navin Jain, and I'm 100% sure that you may have heard of him. He is the founder of Viome. Is like I would say a direct-to-consumer product, and he doesn't come from this. And he built like 6 other companies before, and also a company that is mining rocks on the moon. And so this guy, he comes from India, and he went to the States for a degree, and then he went to startups, and then he went to actually Microsoft. He worked with Bill Gates, and he challenged the status quo all the time. And still today, he's coming to conferences, and he's saying to everybody that that the pharma is doing it wrong, right? And so he's coming in the room and he's saying all that, and everybody look at him. But what happened is that he's going to get a lot of critics, but then you will have 2 or 3 people with a huge, let's say, power that are going to join the mission because they believe in the change he wants to create, and then he just build massive bonds with others and important stakeholders. He raised funds. His Viome, I've seen they just attracted someone from a major pharma company, and now he is also going into the pharma world with an idea that honestly, nobody in the pharma thought it's going to be successful because this guy comes from nowhere, but his boldness helped him to go where he is today. And that's one of the principle that is needed. But you have others. There is one major difference with many places in the world is you need to give. You cannot just ask for stuff. You need to give first. And Brad Feld is talking about this in his book, Startup Community, is you have to first be willing to add value to the community you are in, to the ecosystem you are in, to the people that surround you. And when I'm saying that, is not that if a random guy is asking for something and you don't know him, you're going to give him everything. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that every single person you're talking to, you have to be willing to ask, how can I help you? What do you need? What is your problem? And so you build that with the people, and you always focus on helping before trying to ask for something. And when you do this all the time, not only when you need something, then you build a network. So, you do it every day, every week, every year. And after 3, 5, 6, 10 years, you have a massive network around you because you tried. Even if you didn't help, you tried to help. So that's one of the major difference what people do. And another thing is, transparency and sharing ideas, right? It is something that I see like crazy here is in Europe. People are just afraid that people are going to copy them. Right? And we talk about, a lot of people talk about this mindset of abundance, right? Is and not scarcity. So if you think there will be enough for everybody, then you're also willing to share more because you know that there will be enough for yourself, right? And this mindset of abundance that people have, and in the places like Silicon Valley, is I know that I can do it, so I'm not afraid you will do it because I have my market, and there is a huge market out there. And I know that, you know, it's not about the idea, it's about the mission and the impact that I want to make. And so people share ideas, you know, they share what they want to do, they share where they want to go, and they ask for help. And they're not afraid about the idea getting stolen. It's really, you know, something. And the more you share, the more you transpire the one you want to try to do, and the more you build trust. And so when you build trust and you bold what I mentioned before, and you try to give fast, that's kind of really principles that people have to build networks around them.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we learned in Silicon Valley, and like, you know, if you ever talk to a venture capitalist, they won't sign an NDA, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not the idea, right? It's the ability to execute on that idea. So, you know, I could come up with a business plan and write an idea and hand it to you, but I promise you'll execute it differently. You know, so it's really about, you know, the ability to execute, the ability to, you know, tap into your network. I wanted to shift the conversation a little bit because you chose to do crowdfunding for the book. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And let's talk a little bit about your experience as in crowdfunding.
Yes, that I'm very happy to talk about this. To be honest, this is a very, very, very interesting, hard, but rewarding experience. Why do I do crowdfunding? There's many reasons for that. First, today the publishing world has changed compared to the 80s. You know, before you had to first be.
Oh, you just skipped 40 years, but okay.
But what I mean by that is before, first you had to be already kind of famous or some kind of authority to convince a publisher to take you, or you had to, you know, to really pay a lot of money, and they will take all the ownership of your work, and you will almost not be able to control it. Now, today, everything has changed, right? We live in a world with digital media, which is social media. And that's something that is really an advantage to everybody in this world, is that you can actually show to everybody, hey, I am someone with a message, and you can help me to spread it. And before, that was very difficult. You know, you cannot just send letters to all the people. It was hard. And today, organically, you can reach like thousands of views. And so there is a new generation of publisher, and we call them hybrid publisher. And what they do is that they say, okay, you're gonna pay for the cost, but you keep ownership of your book. And so basically what they say is that you're gonna pay for it, but you're not going to pay it yourself. You're gonna do a crowdfunding. And you know, it seems a little bit scary at first. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to ask money from people, and they are never going to pay, right? But there's really a lot of you know, reason why crowdfunding is actually amazing for a book like mine and any other books. Actually, when you are not an established author, or you're not an established, let's say, thought leader, or you're not an established innovator, whatever, right? Nobody knows you, or not enough of people are already aware of what you do. Doing a crowdfunding like mine is actually forcing myself to create my audience, to create, you know, that people are going to buy my book, because the statistics, you know, are scary. Like, I think that more than 90% of the books that are published, they do not sell more than 200 copies or something like this, right? So you have like maybe 5% that are going to sell a certain amount, and you know, you don't want to spend 2 years of your life or 1 year of your life, and then you publish a book, and then nobody buys it, and
Your grandmother
nobody
won't
buys
even read it.
yeah, nobody will read it, nobody invites you, nobody is aware of your work, and then basically your message do not go through. And so, you know, we have to create our audience, and we have to ask to let our entire network know we are writing a book, my book is coming out, I have a message, and I'm asking for support. And so what does this is that it funds my project, and everybody knows now that I'm writing a book, and I'm already getting invited for conferences, and my book is not even out. I'm inviting to a panel, for instance, next week of corporate innovation, because I shared that I was writing this book. And so it really built an audience, and it prepares everybody that the book is coming. And last but not least, it creates a community. So what the Hybrid Publishing House and the Creator Institute, the school I am in, is trying to do is to build a community around the book. So people that are really going to support me in reshaping my book. And so all the people that now funded my campaign will be invited to review all the chapters of my book week after week. So there will be a process after the crowdfunding. I will review all my chapters with an editor. Then I will send my chapters to all the beta readers. Then they will send back to me the comments, and then I will improve my chapters. So there will be at the end 3 revisions before the final version. And then we send it to copy editing, and then it gets published. And every author is saying it from the authors that I've met through the program is first-time authors don't do it, and they kind of fail in the book launch. Every second author is doing it. They always get this beta reading process of getting people involved in it, because these people are also the ones that are going to spread the word once the book is out. And that's the key to have, like, let's say, a successful book, maybe making it to the best-selling list, or simply to impact more lives. So that's the entire purpose behind this.
How big was your list prior to the crowdfunding? So how much network building did you do prior to crowdfunding?
Yes. So one of the things that I actually always done without knowingly, preparing that crowdfunding campaign is I always connected with people. I when I was in the Silicon Valley, I connected to absolutely all the people I met. And every time I was at a conference, I was trying to connect with people. Every time I was meeting people, like this weekend, I was with friends around a pool, and I said, what is your LinkedIn, right? So I connected with them. And so I had a long list of people, but what we actually did is what you just mentioned. We had to prepare that crowdfunding, right? It's not like you're going to put it out and everybody's going to buy your book. So everybody knows this who is doing a crowdfunding. The secret, that's really the secret of a crowdfunding campaign, is you have to reach out people one-on-one. And so that's a lot of work, and you don't want to just do it randomly. So you have to prepare all the people that that you think are going to support you, and actually even include the people you don't think, right? So you don't want to kill potential supporters. So you do all the list, then you put how you're going to contact them, and then you put how do you know them, right? In case you want to track who that person is, and then you put a follow-up. I mean, you announce you are writing a book to them, you are following up once, you are following up twice, and until you get the feedback that they don't want to buy the book, right? Because sometimes you think, oh, they don't want, but sometimes they're simply busy and they forgot. And actually that happened to me. I followed up second time and I said, oh yeah, of course I want to support you. And then they finally, supported me with the campaign. And so, there will be a lot of, let's say, rejection, and that's super hard for a lot of people, including myself. But it's also incredible to see how many people are willing to support and want to spread the message. And I got amazing messages from a lot of people, that it's this amazing project. Oh, wow, it's inspiring. And so there's so many people that are actually happy you send them a message and they say, thank you for thinking about me. And so, yeah, I had a list of over 300 people, but I could have had a list with 1,000 people because it was just time consuming to make the list. But that's how you prepare one.
Was this like a 3-month effort or 6-month effort? How much sort of lead time did you put into it?
Yeah, so I have a full-time job, and I started to write my book in January. By June, I had the first draft with 38,000 words. And I prepared only after my list, and I did the video for the crowdfunding campaign. I wrote the crowdfunding campaign and all of that in a matter of 3 weeks. So I did that the weekend, I did that in the evening. But the secret of all of this, let's say the speed we are doing this process, is I am not doing it alone. So we are following an established process by this program that I'm involved with. And because they know exactly how previous authors have done it, they have learned from their failures. They tell us exactly what works, what doesn't work, and what we should do, and we can make a little twist in it. And then we get feedback from editor. We have some people who help with the video. We have coach authors, former authors that published it that want to take one-on-one with us and teach us the things they've did in the past. And so I have an average 1 to 3 meetings a week with this goal. And then I get a ton of documentation how to do it. And so I'm doing it with a lot of people, and I'm learning also how what they do. And sometimes I call them and say, "Oh, what did you do?" And that community is magic. Yeah.
And is this program limited to tech subjects, or is it anyone writing a book?
Everybody, non-fiction, fiction. You have people
Okay.
writing about the VC world. You have people writing about poems, and you have people writing about food. So
Okay.
it's everybody. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the book. What do you want to accomplish with the book?
Yes. Thank you for your question. I knew that I didn't want to just wake up, have a job, and make money, and maybe buy a house or whatsoever. So I knew from since I was 15 that I wanted to do something meaningful, and I wanted to really make an impact and maybe solve a big problem. What I want to achieve with this book is really to educate people about the fact that we can change the way we work right now, which is going away from hierarchies, going away from I work for my company and saying I work to solve a problem, right? And it's really a mindset, and the mindset that we can work together and we are not competitors, we are collaborators. We can reach out to people to ask for help, and we can establish partnerships today, even if you're part of an organization or if you're alone, and teaching that you can do it because all these people did it. I was talking about you with these role models, and a lot of people lack role models. And so my hope with the mission is that this world becomes more collaborative to solve the world's biggest problem. And it starts with the mindset. It starts with knowingly acknowledging that we are following rules, we have bias, we are doing things because we have always done it, and that's something we have to change now. And we have to change the world and solving big problems through collaboration, because it is a superpower. It is something we can do it today, and it is necessary, right, to do it together and not alone, because alone is very hard, but together everything is so faster and more powerful.
Well, I know that you're doing something right because you've reached your goal on the crowdfunding, but
Yes.
you're not done, right?
Exactly. So you analyzed is right. Basically, again, when I started my book, I said I don't want to do it small. I don't want to just publish a book and say I'm an author, right? I mean, title and awards, all that stuff is great, but what I want is making an impact, right? I have a goal of impacting 1 million lives, 1 billion lives by the end of my life. So I'm writing this book. The goal is accomplished to publish it, but what I want to do is to deliver a good book. So I want to have a hardcover, and that's $6,500. And then I want to go to around, it's $8,500 to do an audiobook. And I want to do an audiobook because I know that some people prefer, and so I will impact more lives even if I have an audiobook. So I want to go with that. And then, even if you have additional amount of funding, I mean, I need the funding to do marketing of the words that I'm sharing. I need funding to maybe, sponsor a book tour next year. I need funding to, to contact a lot of people. And what I want to do actually is, if I go past my $8,500, I would like to partner with a nonprofit organization that is actually working with entrepreneurs, maybe entrepreneurs in difficult region that want to create change, that are focusing on SDGs, right? Clean water, pollution, climate change, how to make green electricity profitable, maybe all these different challenges that we need networks to create it and solve the problems. And so, the more funding I have, the more impact I can make. The message will be wider and impact more lives. And that's also the network. So, I need to spread it, and it needs to spread organically. So I cannot do it alone. That's why I need a lot of supporter. And it's going to come bottom up. That's all what networks are about. It's not about, government are saying something. It has to come from the people on the ground. And so the more funding I can get, I can try to spread it into everybody. And then, we can maybe create meaningful change.
So obviously the book's going to happen. So what happens once the book's out? What do you want to do then?
Yes. So one of the things that is already actually almost in my timetable is I already almost 100% sure got invited to keynotes where I'm going to talk about that. I recently published also a paper about innovation ecosystem and what corporates what corporates should do to make an ecosystem thrive, right, is to engage. And I'm going to continue this mission of sharing the necessity for collaboration, the necessity of, giving ownership to the people who do, and it's not about the organization, it's about the people. And so I want to do a book tour next year, go to different, maybe organization, non-profit, profit, maybe giving talks in other places. And I want to spread a message. So the book may go to first internet, then I need to put it in libraries, then I need to, as I mentioned, audiobook, maybe I will go on podcast. And so there's really a long journey ahead, and it's not finished. And there will very probably be another book, maybe in 3-4 years. We will see where that takes me.
Well, Michael, we very much appreciate your time today. We're excited about the book, and we excited about the success of the crowdfunding campaign. We will include the links to the crowdfunding campaign and some of your other social properties so people can follow you. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to the next book.
Thank you, Mike. It was a real pleasure to talk to you today, and I appreciate your time to do a collaboration on this and make this message go bigger. Thank you.